what does that process look like, or what exactly, from a retirement plan perspective, how do people invest?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Joe. I manage a note fund, and what I've found is that about 85% of our investors are investing through a self-directed retirement plan. It's really high. And the funny thing is, when a prospective investor talks to me about the fund, they tell me they're interested in a note fund and considering it, the first question I always ask them is, are you doing this out of a self-directed IRA or a self-directed account? And if they look at me not knowing what I'm talking about, then we have to have a whole different conversation. And here's the reason why, Joe. Note investing is an asset class that generates a lot of tax liability. It really does. There's no depreciation. There's really no write-offs. All you have is interest income and capital gains. So you get a hit with a heavy tax burden. So why not combine that together with the self-directed IRA, self-directed Roth IRA, maybe even better, and benefit from that preferential tax treatment? Because what that's going to do is it's going to make your growth and your compounding so much better over time, and it will essentially supercharge your retirement account. So whether someone is considering note investing, whether it's inside a retirement account or outside, I always recommend consider it, because the benefits are huge. And if you're sitting looking at this for the long haul, as I recommend to most people, taking advantage of that tax preferred treatment is going to be such a huge advantage. It really is. And everyone should consider that.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, especially, note funds that aren't using any debt, they got tax benefits of the capital gain, the interest, and they aren't being charged any UDFI, where maybe in a real estate syndication, if they're using debt leverage, they might be subject to other taxes. So investing in a note fund, not accounting or tax advice here, check with your CPA, right?
Yeah.
But it's a great avenue to get pretty much 100% tax-free returns back into your account.
Absolutely, Joe. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a note fund. You could invest in individual notes as well out of your self-directed IRA, receive that same powerful preferential tax treatment. This is something I'm just going to sidetrack just a little bit, but talking about Roth IRAs. Roth IRAs are so powerful, and it's something that everyone should consider it, learn about it, get educated, talk to your CPA, your tax professional, to see if it makes sense for you. Because if it does, I will say in 99% of the cases, it's going to be a home run for you to leverage a Roth IRA. And what that means is you pay a little bit of tax up front on your contribution, but then all of your earnings and growth are tax-free forever, which is a huge benefit. So think about it this way. Let me use the farmer's analogy, right? Would you rather pay tax on the seed, or would you rather pay tax on the harvest at the end? That's the analogy between Roth IRA and a traditional IRA.
I like that. I like that a lot. Do you happen to have any case study off the top of your mind that you might have done something in your IRA from a high level to give some kind of, context around that?
Sure. Yeah, I did a interesting investment in my Roth IRA. I invested in a local community bank that was starting up, and they were raising capital for the startup, and it was done through a private placement offering. I invested in that. It lasted about 9 9 years, something like that, right? It was an illiquid investment. The strategy was to invest in buy your shares and wait until the bank was acquired by a publicly traded bank. Well, they did really well. I believe I earned about 4 or 5 times my money over that time period. But because I did it in the Roth IRA, my earnings were all tax-free at the end. And it was a huge boost to my account.
That's really great. And when you withdraw, right, at 59 and a half, that's tax-free at the same time.
Exactly, because I paid the taxes up front when I was contributing.
That is, one of a great story. And I'm jealous a little bit. So,
but anything you like to invest in, whether it's stocks, private placement, notes, real estate, you can do it in a self-directed Roth IRA and receive huge benefits. So think of this as a tool and apply it to invest in what you know and what you like.
that's great. And where does someone also go to maybe open up a self-directed retirement account, or, where they get started?
Yeah, there are multiple self-directed retirement account custodians throughout the country, and they specialize in this very niche area. You're not going to be able to go to, for instance, to Fidelity or Vanguard, right, and tell them you want to do self-directed IRA. You have to find custodians that specialize in that, and there's several of them out there. They're very good, and the great thing I like about them is they are really big on education, and they promote education. They feature different educational webinars and in-person meetings back when we still could meet in person. And those are great opportunities to network, meet with other investors, learn different strategies, getting exposed to new opportunities, new concepts that you didn't know about. That's one of the really big benefits of working with them. Now, granted, they're not allowed to give you any investment advice or tax advice, anything like that. They have to be arm's length as a custodian, but they certainly can facilitate a lot of the education. And so here's what I say, Joe. Whenever you invest in your own education, that's going to pay the greatest dividends. And that's investing your time and your money to increase your knowledge, learn some new skills, learn some techniques. Always, always, always is going to pay off the greatest return on investment.
Always be learning, right?
Yes.
That's how you keep growing.